Hey guys, today is July the 14th of 2022, and I want to go over crude oil using cycles and Gann pricing time technical analysis. Been getting a lot of requests. Give me a video on energy, on crude, what's going on, why we're selling off. We'll get this nice little rally to the upside from what, 2020? So, got a nice little rally. Maybe it didn't go all the way to test this up, this high right here, 140. But in the meantime, let's see what the cycles are saying, and then we could kind of get a better gauge on what's really going on under the hood. So let's get into it. There's a couple of cycles here that are important. The first one is the 252. That cycle, let's zoom in right here. This one's just going to be interesting because this one tops out somewhere around October of this year. And then it hits a trough somewhere around 2025. So the cycle will be down for a couple of years. But this one is going to be hitting a peak soon. And it looks like the high is early, but you never know. It could bounce and maybe make even a higher high, around October or further out past October. But this is the first one I'm looking at. The next one will be there's a 145, which is this one. This one already hit a peak of March the 7th, and it's going to find a trough cycle low around July of 2023. There's also the 104. We're in a down cycle on that one, March the 7th, and that one hits a trough of January 30th, 2023. Look at this 183 here. And this one is down too. Pretty much the cycles that are strongest in regard to the spectrum analysis, spectrum chart are pretty much down, except for the 252. This is the 183. That's the 104. And then this is the 145. Those, that one right there. So the cycles are not looking good. They're not favoring crude oil going up. The 45 is a dominant cycle. It's more fractal on the weekly. And you can see that even that's down. And that one hits a bottom around September the 12th. So keep that in mind, that the weekly cycles are down, according to, the analysis I see. And 252 is the strongest, and that one hasn't gone down yet. It's still in an up peak up to October. So we may have a little more upside, maybe sideways to up. But once October hits, then everything, even the bigger cycle, will be pointing down. Okay, guys, so this is the daily chart. And I'm using data from 2017 onward. There's a few cycles here that are important on the daily chart. We already know that the weekly, the ones that are, important on the spectrum analyzer chart are looking down, except the bigger one. The let's get the 371. Where is that? Right here. There's a cycle that is 371. That one hit a peak pretty much close to where that high is. You see, sometimes you rarely see that. It doesn't happen all the time. Here you can see a little peak right here, and it pulls back down, but kept trending higher. You can see right here in that peak, it picked it up there. Now it's going to continue going down. Well, that remains to be seen. But right now, this is the 371, and it peaked on June the 10th of this year. The next one is the 168, and that one is now hitting a trough around August 4th, the first week of August, hits a bottom. And then the last one will be the 103. This one hits a peak somewhere around July the 20th, around there, 2021. And the dominant cycle is the 58. This is a 59. You can see that there's a low coming in here. Trough coming in right now. Probably was yesterday. And then it goes up till like August 12th. So this is more fractal. This is more, smaller. But if we take the bigger one, which is a 371, and then the next big one, 168, you can see that maybe we'll have a swing low somewhere around August if this is going to play out. If we do the 103 with the 371, it hits a peak here, July 15th. The correlation is 0.55 with the 371 and 103, and the 371 with the 168 correlation is 0.63. Throw in the 59, which is fractal, not really much of a difference. So even the cycles on the daily are looking down. If you do a composite, if you look at them individually, there's like one or two that are, maybe one that is pointing up, which is what the, take this one off, the 168, that's down. The 59, yep, the 59, which is a dominant cycle, will be pointing up all the way to August 11th. So that's that on the daily chart. Let's look at let's look at seasonality and see where we're at there. Okay, looking at seasonality from 2018 to 2022, you can see that July it's a little stronger, and then August to November is flat. So not really anything to get out of that. Go to the 10-year, you can see that July is pretty much flat. August is a little stronger, much stronger. And then September kind of pulls in. So 10-year seasonality, September is probably the weakest. Let's see what 15 looks like. September still looks like the weakest. August is flat, and July is it's a little stronger. Let's do 20. What we get there. And pretty much July is strong and August is a little bit stronger, above the 50, but not by much. But September remains the weakest. So we got to keep that in the back of our mind. September is a little weaker on Brent. Okay, here's another seasonality tool that I use from year to date. So far it's 26.86%. So not bad. Oh, it looks like we did a double top up here. And we're kind of finding support. As of today, I think we went as low as 90 and even 88, depending on what contract you're looking at. But let's see what July and August and September are going to look like using a 5-year average. And this is a 5-year average. So, possibly it could continue pushing lower to maybe July the 18th, 19th around there, and give it a little wiggle room. Get a bounce, maybe be a dead cat bounce, and August 19, on the 5-year average, it makes a swing low and then trends higher. Mind you, remember that September was the weakest. I don't know why it's not showing here. But August, in regards to this seasonality tool, is the low point, August 19. Let's take that out and let's add the 10-year average and see what that shows. And you can see that it still continues pushing lower. And it kind of goes sideways for August, somewhere around August 8, even August 19, and then it kind of trends higher and higher lows all the way up to October, and then it pulls back. And let's look now at the 15-year average and see what we get there. And yeah, the same thing. It kind of, dwindles sideways to lower, and then August looks like it just finds a low somewhere around August 19th, all the way to August 22nd. And you know what? It still even pulls lower into September. Maybe this is maybe the weak point in September 5th, around there. And then it kind of goes sideways to higher, but not really much to brag about. Makes a high October 18, and then it pulls back. So what can we dissect out of here? I'll probably use maybe the 5 and the 15. Sorry, the 5 and the 10. You can see that right now, right here, July 19th, you want to keep an eye on that. We start pushing lower and maybe find key support. Somewhere around there, maybe could be a possible turning point. But where the real turn will probably come If it continues pushing lower, you can look at August 19 and maybe you can see maybe August 9 and 19. Well, somewhere around there, you just kind of go sideways. But at the end of the day, you want to see price confirmation, making higher highs, higher low. You want volume coming in. You want strong volume, actually. You want big candles, bull kickers, to see if the seasonality is going to play out. There's a few things also, like in my gold and silver video that I put out. There's a lot of things, key things that are lining up in July for silver and gold that is going to make a nice little pop. And that all depends, too, on the general markets and also the dollar. If the dollar is going to close above a 110, it might stall this move on silver and gold. But it'll be interesting to see if it's going to go to 110, maybe push even crude oil lower. But that's what I'm seeing on the seasonality chart. Last chart we're going to see is going to look at the daily chart, weekly chart, and see what we see there. Okay, so this is the last chart. This is more like supply and demand zone. You can see that right here. This is all supply. Down here is demand zone. We almost got a sell signal on. This is the weekly. Actually, let's go even bigger. I like to start with the monthly. What the monthly got. As you can see, if you look at the chart, all of this right up here has been supply. Sellers up here, up there, and somewhere around here, this is all demand. So if we ever get somewhere around, if we ever get down there, 77, which I doubt, but you never know, 62, and anywhere in that range, that's a supply demand zone. Now let's look at the weekly and see what we got. So we almost had a sell signal on the weekly, and it's still in buying mode, while the weekly, so you see, this is the interesting things about cycles and trying to get the big picture. In regards to cycles, the weeklies are pointing down, some of them, and then there's one major one that it's about to turn. You can see that already crude is just kind of like now fluctuating back and forth, just kind of oscillating, consolidating. And there's key levels. You know, this one is 87.49. And this is all demand right here. So right now we don't have a sell signal on the weekly, but it's pulled back really, really good. Well, let's look at the daily, see what we have there. You can see we have the sell signal. We haven't had a buy signal, but this looks like a nice little doji candle. But we got to remember the seasonalities. A lot of things will maybe change around August and maybe even July. So between July and August, if we start consolidating and start creating a base and start, you know, making higher highs and higher lows, maybe some of the seasonality can play out. MACD hasn't even crossed over, but there's a lot of selling pressure, pretty strong. And it'll be interesting to see how these next 2 months are going to play out. Well, those are my thoughts. The most important thing is just to let you know that the cycles are kind of, it's like a domino effect until the big one hits. Everything is starting to turn down. So keep that in the back of your mind. If you're considering to go long, you know, of all the inflation and the Fed and, you know, the commodities pulling back, maybe there's a pause here and maybe a leg up in the next couple of months. I don't know, but when the cycles are down on the weekly, I'm a little more cautious on going long. I'd rather have the strategy where I was shorted on pops, like what's been going on. You're making lower lows and lower highs, and that pattern hasn't changed since June of the 9th. Has been creating that pattern. Once that pattern changes, it starts going up, and everything kind of, you know, hopefully locks up and sinks in with the seasonality and maybe the daily cycles. Maybe that's a good trading plan. But right now, I'm just watching it. Hopefully you like this video. I'll keep you posted on my thoughts on crude using cycles and WD Gann price and time technical analysis.